What's up, everyone? Nima here. I wanted to do a video today to just talk about a few things. I've got a few reviews that are still kind of in the process of being made, and so I did want to get something out, and there's a few topics I kind of wanted to discuss today. Number one, I did want to talk about the recent Nintendo Direct. I thought there's quite an opportunity for things that we could be hyped about and discuss and see the ups and downs of it. And I also want to discuss something else that's kind of come around to be a pretty major talking point in the video game industry, and that's been a lot of companies, Microsoft, Sony, purchasing a lot of development studios, and there's kind of like this gold rush of, hey, what studio is going to be bought next? How many billions of dollars are they going to spend? And there's this whole idea that everything is just moving into like that subscription basis, and so I kind of wanted to talk about that as well. But before I get into any of that, I just wanted to remind you guys to please like and subscribe. I need all the subscribers I can. If I don't, then I'll die, and it'll be sad because that's what my life force runs on, is subscriptions. And I don't know. I only have 153, so I don't know what that means, but I need more, I guess is the point. Anyway, thing I wanted to get into, though, is this whole idea of, like, Microsoft and Sony going back and forth, buying different studios. And the big discussion that keeps being brought up is, well, Nintendo needs to buy a studio, and what studio is Sony going to go after next, and so forth and so on. Because this whole idea of like this consolidation to a subscription service where we're going to get like just certain games on exclusive packages, exclusive consoles, you won't be able to play certain games on all your consoles, which is, I don't know, it's kind of the way it is now anyway. Like, you can't play Uncharted on your Switch, you can't play Mario on your Xbox, whatever. But furthermore, though, I think that there is something that a lot of people aren't talking about with these subscription services, and like Xbox Game Pass, for one, is going to be the one that I don't know, I relate to on this one, only because it's the only situation that I have recently that has shown to be problematic. I had a friend of mine who just loves the Xbox Game Pass. And to be honest, I have a Series X, I have a Game Pass. I know I don't talk a lot about that, but I just want to show there's like no anti-Microsoft stuff here. But my friend absolutely loves it, always talking about how great it is. And I'm like, yeah, dude, no, it's great. I love it. There's so much to it. If that's like your thing, then yeah, I back it completely. But he went on and he's talking about like, man, I could play video games for the next like 5 years and not run out of games, and and he's right. There's so much content there, and for a pretty cheap price. But anyway, like a week ago, he got a hold of me. He said, "Hey, man, do you have Final Fantasy 12?" And I do. And I think I told him, like, oh yeah, I have it for the PlayStation 2, and I have it for the Nintendo Switch. And he was like, okay, cool. Can I borrow the one that you have for the Switch? And I'm like, why? Because to be honest, like, I don't like renting games out to people. Like, it's not that I think people are just out to steal from me. I think it's I'm going to forget that I let them borrow it. They're going to forget that they borrowed it. And especially a game like that where it takes like hours and hours and hours to beat it. It could be a month or two before he beats it. It's not even going to like really think about it. It's not going to be, and before I know it, I lost my copy of Final Fantasy 12. And I love Final Fantasy, so I don't want to lose that. So I just kind of kept prodding him. I'm like, well, why do you want it? Like, you got your Game Pass, you've been happy with that. Like, what's the deal with Final Fantasy 12? And he said, well, I started playing it on the Game Pass, and last week they removed it. I was like 15 hours in, it finally clicked, I loved playing it, and I was having so much fun with it, and it got removed. And I think that's something we're going to see more and more of people who are, yeah, they're happy. You got a lot of, like, your first-party titles. You got, like, Bethesda. You're going to have a lot of different games that are associated with your subscription that are always going to be there. But it's those third-party titles that are going to be in there for a little while, and then they're going to leave. And you're going to have a lot of people, and he's a good example of somebody who was like, when I suggested to him, why don't you just buy it for the Xbox? Like, you have it. You can just buy it. And, he was like, well, I already pay for the Game Pass. I don't want to have to buy something else. And I don't know. I just feel like with a lot of gamers, that's going to be something that's going to be brought up a lot. Hey, I'm already paying, what, 180, almost $200 a year for this subscription. And now I pay 20 for 30, maybe $70, depending on what game, to actually be able to keep it. And I'm not saying it's going to be like a lot of people. And, I'm coming from the point of a lot of people probably don't even spend $200 or $300, $400, $500 on games a year. I do. I spend, well, quite a bit more than that, but like I understand like a lot of families, a lot of people have like just this certain amount of money, and I just think that there's gonna be I'm not going to say like this is a huge talking point and oh my god this is overlooked and this is why Game Pass and the whatever PlayStation version of it's why this whole like subscription model is crap. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I think this could be a problem in the future. The people are going to be complaining about getting addicted to a game or having a game and then it going away before they got to beat it, and then they don't want to pay for it because they felt like they've already been paying for it. And I don't know. I think that's something that these companies do have to kind of figure out how they're gonna address that. Like I've seen a lot of people who've been talking about the Nintendo Online expansion, and they just announced that you get the free Mario Kart DLC if you are part of that expansion pass. And a lot of people are like, "Yeah, that's cool." Except for the fact that, like, once you stop paying for it, then you don't have access to that DLC anymore, and that's true. So, what's the mentality with the Game Pass and the PlayStation? Like, especially as some of these are probably going to go up. I'm just guessing. I don't know. It's capitalism. It's the markets. I've seen it. I remember when, like, I think it was Games with Gold was like $4 or $5 a month. Like, and it was like, oh, why not? You get a free game or something, and they kind of give you a few more perks and whatever. And now it's what, 17, 15? I don't know how much it is, but for everything. And they're going to keep doing that. And there's going to be a point probably when we're hitting like the $25 a month and people are going to go, well, I'm paying like $300 and I don't get to actually keep any of this. I just see that as something that's going to happen. And especially for a lot of people like myself who are like tried and true real gamers. And we want physical media if we can have it. Now, granted, I'll be honest with you guys. I have a digital PS5. It was the only one I could get, and whatever. Like, I took it because I thought, and honestly, smartly, I knew that I wouldn't have another opportunity for at least 2 or 3 more years. And so I bought mine at launch. I got lucky and just kind of walked into it. And, they say there probably won't be many available until 2023. So, yeah, I wouldn't have access for another couple years. So, I do have that on digital. But when I can go physical copy, I try. And I just think that that's going to be something that kind of comes up. And as a lot of these companies, like Microsoft and Sony, are really devoting billions of dollars into this, it may not, like, ultimately pay off the way that they think, but at the same time, I don't think that a lot of them are pushing just for the Game Pass aspect or for the subscription aspect. I think a lot of it is they're buying like developers, honestly. Like the Nintendo or the video game channels and everything likes to kind of focus on like consolidation, monopolization, and this whole idea of like one true like video game power, and you're only going to be able to have access to one game or to certain games on one console and all of that. But honestly, I don't think that's what most of these companies are even buying. I think they're buying developers because it's harder and harder to get a developer team. And like working in business and owning a business, I can tell you that even in my small retail stores, it costs about $6,000 to hire one person. And no offense to my people, but like they're unskilled. Like, it doesn't take that much to work at one of my like stores. But it still cost me $6,000. So what do you think it's going to cost somebody like a Microsoft to hire, develop anyone on a developing or a dev team, or graphics designers or engineers or whatever. Like it's going to cost so much more than what that costs. So you're probably looking at it as I'm just mass buying a whole bunch of like workforce essentially, or access to them. As well, hey, I'll also take a couple other games, and we can develop our own games. I'm just saying, like, I think there's something to two sides of that it not only be the subscription aspect, and maybe people should kind of, I don't know, like stop freaking out about what studio is going to get bought next or what's going to happen with these acquisitions. Honestly, I think in some ways, they're kind of dumb. Like, honestly, like Microsoft, I don't really get all the, I mean, before the year's over, I've heard they could be spending up to $150 billion on other companies. Like, really, like Microsoft's great, but is it that great? I don't know, like, I don't know, not to mention, like, the hardware aspect of it, like, these things seem to come and go so quick. So many people are already tired of the original, like, Nintendo Switch. They're like, when are we getting a new one? That was only, like, 4 or 5 years ago. Like, if you're bringing a team on, 2 years into your next-gen console, it's going to take them a couple years to get, like, associated with it. How many years do you have them for this generation of that console to be like developing games? Like, what, maybe 2 or 3 years? And then you're already moving on to something else? Like, it's just a lot of, like, massive project movements going on. And I don't know, like, honestly, like, it's not, you know, I'm not going to say, like, oh, they're dumb, they don't know what they're doing, because obviously I have no clue. I'm not a part of any of that. I just think that, like, some of that could end up blowing up in their face, but maybe not. And obviously, like, Microsoft runs itself way better than, like, my company runs itself, so, like, I really shouldn't be, like, throwing stones or anything. It's just my thoughts on it, that's all. I did want to also talk about the Nintendo Direct. Now, for me, the Nintendo Direct was, like, okay, so looking at it, like, non-biased, I would give it an A. Like, I thought it was really good. I thought it had something for everyone. And it was kind of fun sitting here with my family watching it. And my 7-year-old son and my wife, like, they were picking out games, like, oh, we're getting this, we're gonna get that. And I thought that was, like, really cool, because I forced them... You know, not purposely, but I sit here and watch all the directs. I watch all the E3 stuff, the Game Awards, all that junk. And they all sit here, like, bored and, like, messing with their phones or whatever. Like, they're not into it. But this direct, they were both, like, really into it. And they're finding stuff like, oh, I want to get Kirby, you know, the Nintendo Switch Sports, which looks awesome. Looks like a lot of fun. Mario Strikers, we were all, like, into that. There's just so many games. I was like, this is really cool. Like, I really appreciate how they've taken certain things that, like, we've been begging for a long time, and they brought them here. And it was like, I don't know, like, is Nintendo listening? Because I don't think they do that, but maybe they were. Like, maybe they are actually giving us not only more value, like in NSO, the expansion pack, but also, like, in the games that we've wanted. I did a whole video, like, earlier on about how, like, they just don't want our money. Like, there's tons of games they could bring back, Chrono Cross being one of them, and Front Mission 1 and 2. And we got them, like, both. Like, these were just certain games that I had talked about, and it seems like they're kind of picking up on some of it. And they're like, oh, okay, the people want our old IPs, and, like, Earthbound, or shadow dropping Earthbound. I gotta be honest, like, my mouth, like, I just sat there, like, jaw dropped when I saw Earthbound. Like, they're really doing it. They're acknowledging that this game exists, and they're gonna bring it free to us. I think there's also, like, hope now for Earthbound 3 coming out, or Mother 3, however you want to call it. Like, that being something that comes to the console here in, I don't know, maybe a year or two. We don't know. There's so much. Now, personally, I wasn't as happy. Like, if I look at the Direct, you know, like I said, non-biased, I thought it was great. It was fantastic. There's a lot of stuff in there that I'm very interested in. But me personally, I would give it like a C. And that's me being, like, selfish and looking at it from a direction of, like, the things that I really wanted to see, didn't see any of it. I had this idea in my head. Going into this Direct, I was like, okay, well, it's going to be around the 8th or the 9th, and we finally found out the exact date. And that's going to be near the time that they're going to be ready to release, like, the N64 game. And all I could think about was Majora's Mask. Like, oh, wouldn't that be great if they shadow drop Majora's Mask? And that's a game I haven't played before. I know, it's crazy. I'm late to the Zelda bandwagon. But I was really hyped for it. And I really thought, like, this would be perfect. Like, why not do it then? And then when they released Earthbound, I was like, oh, okay, all right, we got a shot. Like, they might, also, hey, we're also going to be dropping Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. And they didn't. And I was like, I don't know. I that hurt because I knew not to expect Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever the sequel is going to be named. I knew like that's not going to happen. They're only going to cover the first half. I had fingers crossed that maybe Wind Waker Twilight Princess remake would be somewhere on there. But as I go on, like looking at a lot of the game leakers, Marco Mara to whoever, I don't. Even honestly, there's parts of me with like Nate the Hate where I'm like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, they say stuff so vaguely that it's the whole thing. Like, there's going to be a new Mario Kart. Oh, is there? Is there going to be a new Mario Kart with new features? Because like that's what all of them said. Here, just a couple, 2-3 weeks ago, every single one of the leakers, new Mario Kart's happening. They're in development. They're working on the new Mario Kart. Really, because we're not looking at a new Mario Kart until 2024. Let's be honest. They're releasing 48 tracks, like on the DLC, and I'm excited for that, by the way, because I am subscribed to NSO Online, so I got the expansion pack, so it'll be free for me, and that'll be cool. I'm happy for it. But that's not the point. The point is, they said there's going to be a new Mario Kart. And I remember Nate the Hate, who I really trust, saying there's going to be different mechanics in this new one. Well, where is it? Come on. Like, and again, I think there's nothing but, there's a ton of credibility with Nate the Hate. As for Marco Mara, I don't really buy half the stuff he says, but I just see this like list of things that are always supposed to happen, and they never do. And these people rarely ever get called out for it. And I get with Nate the Hate, like, he just kind of screwed this one up. Big deal. It's not a problem. But the one thing I keep hearing from all of these leakers over and over and over again, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, the remake, it's gonna happen, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy it. I don't think any of it's gonna happen. So, and I knew Breath of the Wild 2 wasn't gonna be announced. I just kind of thought, like, Mask of Majora. Give me that. Give me Mask of Majora. Nintendo kind of, honestly, just ignored The Legend of Zelda 35th. They kind of, let's be honest, they kind of just gave a middle finger to Zelda. Like, they don't give a shit about The Legend of Zelda. At least give us that, I thought. Like, at least act like you care about this franchise, please. And they didn't do that. Again, they did a lot of other great things, and like I said, like, I could go through the list of things that I'm really excited about. I was really happy to see that basically Square is allowing for Project Triangle to be played, like, I think it's the first, like, 15 or 20 hours of the game, something like that, up until the end of Chapter 3. That's really cool. I'm excited to do that. In fact, that's going to be one of the things I do a video on, is I'm going to just cover that first, like, 3 chapters and see how cool it is. Again, Mario Strikers is awesome. Very excited for that. I'm really happy to see a game that maybe has like where I can become more like an online presence and join a club or start my own and just kind of have a team and do something more with Twitch. And, that game looks for me perfect for that kind of scenario. And it looks like a lot of fun. So I'm really excited for that. The 2D HD remaster of Live Alive, super pumped for that. That came out of nowhere. A game that I'd only heard of. And they dropped that. Like, there was so much for JRPGs. Like, my boy Trotty got a lot. And I was excited as well. Like, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That's going to be amazing. In September? Great. Not to mention, the other stuff that we've gotten, like Chrono Cross. Like, which, again, for some of us, like myself, I know I played it, but I don't know if I ever beat it. I think I got really far into it, but I was, like, really, really young. You guys got to understand, like, I was a child. Like, I think I was younger than my son is now when I played it. And you know how you are when you're, like, that age. Like, you'll play something for a while, and then you just kind of, I don't know, you move on to, like, I don't know, Burning Army Men or something. I don't know what the hell I was doing, but I'm fairly certain I didn't beat that game. So I definitely am excited to play that, and that's coming out really soon. Not to mention, like, Advance Wars, which we've known about. And honestly, that Advance Wars 1 and 2 is, like, the thing that broke my heart for Christmas. Like, that's really what I wanted for Christmas. I just wanted to tell my wife, like, buy this for me. I'm super pumped for this. And then it got delayed, and so I've been waiting for that game for a while. But seeing that and seeing that you can create like your own maps, there's going to be an online aspect. Like, I'm really excited for it. There's a lot there. And I know I'm missing like a bunch of other stuff, and that's what kind of tells you how good this direct really was. I can't even like. I'll be honest, I don't have like a list in front of me. I don't have a video going or any of that. I'm positive that I'm missing at least a couple things that I'm gonna be, oh wait, that was the thing I really, really enjoyed, but there was just so much. Like the Nintendo Switch Sports. It's gonna be hard for me not to say Wii Sports, but like that is really great. Like my son, he's super happy to play that against my dad, and those two like really loved playing the Wii Sports. My son like got it hacked up into his like MacBook, but now they'll actually have like an actual game to play with the the Joy-Cons working as they should, and it not being like jimmy rigged through like a MacBook. Like, he's really excited for it, and there's so many games that came out with this direct that I'm over the moon about. Like I said, like Front Mission 1 is another one. Like, there's so many. There was a couple I didn't really care about, to be honest, but I don't really feel like you focus on the negative all the time. Like, I could, but what's the point? Like, somebody else might really, really be interested in, like, the Star Wars game they announced. I'm not, but some people could be, and that's cool. But anyway, guys, I'm kind of curious what your thoughts were on the direct, what your thoughts are on, like, what was your favorite game? What would you like to see brought up? And your thoughts also on the subscription service and where it's going as a whole. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you. Take care.